Gotta draw fast. Gotta draw fast. Gotta draw faster and faster, 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 faster. Do Sonic at the speed of sound. Fastest around it. I have never played a Sonic game in my life. So I've been drawing for way too long now. I have sketchbooks going all the way back to 2009, documenting my journey and progression as an artist. But the one thing that hasn't really been tracked is how fast I can draw. And I mean that as in, how quickly can I churn out something good, or something within a certain range of parameters of goodness? The reason why this is something I want to know is because I've always been terribly impatient with my art. Like, I have the idea, I want it out now. If I take too long, I'm not gonna finish it. There's a lot of unfinished crap in my folders, deep, far away. But at the same time, a big thing with art is to get better is you have to keep practicing and drawing. So while I was developing my style, as a kid, I made sure to take time to figure out, shortcuts and hotkeys and tricks to speed up the process. Essentially, drawing more in less time because I'm drawing super speed. So some of the tricks that I do, you'll see as I progress through this video. I'll do a little brief explanation. But in today's experiment, what I will be doing, let me explain because we're already in the speed paint. I'm going to be drawing the same character over and over again, cutting down how long I have to create a finished product. And in theory, as I progress, my products should get worse because the hypothesis is the more time you spend on art, the more better it'll be. And I need you to hold on to that expectation, and we are gonna get back to it. First round, which you're seeing now, took about 2 hours. More like 2 hours and change because I was suffering from some technical difficulties, but from here I'll go down to 1 hour, and then the next round will be 30 minutes and then 15 minutes. And I was planning to stop there, but I didn't. I did squeeze in an extra 10-minute round, which once again, you will find out why when we get to it. Anyways, the character I've decided to draw is Ashton, which is not my character. It is Taliesin Jaffe's D&D character from Campaign 3 of Critical Role. Please excuse me for my pronunciation. So Critical Role, it's this popular D&D show. A bunch of voice actors play D&D together. It's fantastic. And the reason I picked this character to draw is because I wanted a character that wasn't my own. And so coming out the gate, I haven't drawn Ashton before. And I don't have a mental map of all of his details or everything. So I do have the reference photo up here. In subsequent drawings, I do change over to a different computer where I have a second screen, so you will not be able to see this reference photo again, but here is the credits, as needed, of the original photo, of the original design, the original art. I also picked just one character to redraw because that way it's gonna be an easier comparison than doing a bunch of different characters. Trying to keep the same sort of details and everything as I progress, which you will see I will not. Also, I drew Ashton because I wanted an excuse to draw Ashton. Goddamn, he's an Earth Genasi gravity barbarian, okay? A gravity barbarian. How fucking cool is that? You get this one move where you create your own black hole and you draw enemies towards you, like, I think it's called like Event Horizon or something, which is so badass because as like a barbarian, you gotta like waste like your move in order to get close to enemies, because if you're not close to the enemies, then you can't do anything, and they always spread each other apart, so you just bring them towards you so you don't have to waste your move on it. It's so good. I am a little biased because my first D&D character was a Storm Barbarian, and my most recent D&D character is a Water Genasi, so I'm like, you were made to cater to my likes, good friends. Anyways, back to the challenge. This first round that we're seeing here is just me taking my time with Ashton and getting a baseline idea of what I can do if I just mosey along and take my time with it. And so yeah, it ended up being 2 hours. Once again, I was suffering from some technical difficulties. I think I was like, there was something wrong with like the selection tool or something, or like with the brush that I was using for getting those buckles out, which I don't remember the name of the brush. Sorry. once again, for this baseline control piece, I put 2 hours for a single character, colored shading, no background, and with some added effects. Added effects being like doing things like blending mode layers and making shiny stuff and doing colored line art. And from this baseline, I decided the times for the rest of my rounds, which is why it is the way it is. Feel free, if you'd like to try this yourself, to use the times that I did. I'll tell you once again, super did not go the way I expected. So I'm curious how this works for other people, because I really thought I nailed down how this was going to be. I was wrong. Once again, these times are based on how I draw. So if you need to adjust the times for you, go ahead. I don't know, do hashtag gottadrawfast. So for each round, even though I am taking less and less time, I will still be judging each piece on like quality and whether or not I like it enough to post to social media. This first one would be a no. When I first made it, I was like fine with it, but looking back, even before I got into subsequent rounds, I knew I could have done better. And after completing the challenge, I now know that my problem was that I was just thinking too much. I still get a bit nervous at the thought of people watching my sketch process, and I didn't even think about me redoing the sketch. I was just like, go. Someone is watching. We gotta go. We can't just waste their time, which is weird. It's a weird anxiety to have. I feel like I should have warmed up a little better, and I feel like I should have done like several sketches before committing to this pose. But at the same time, I'm not horribly upset, but once you get into the later rounds, you'll see why I'm upset. Anyways, yeah. So I did make sure that I made him facing specifically towards the left so that we can see his little cranium, because I was really curious how I would go about with the gem bits as I sped up. Right now you can see I'm doing some stuff with the polygonal lasso tool, which I now abuse. I abuse it wholeheartedly. All of the shading that I did for this, I did with the polygonal lasso tool. I use the same techniques for every subsequent round. I'm not using faster techniques with the actual execution of each effect. I straight up just use the polygonal tool and then just done. Multiply clipping layer. There's probably people out there who don't actually know about clipping layers and multiply layers, so I'm just gonna shut up on that. I did retranslate his hair into something different, and their like the gem thing in the noggin. I did do a little bit of like, as you can see here, I tried to make his skin like a little shiny, because he's supposed to be like a rock man, but he kind of just looks slimy instead of like stone. So I don't end up doing that again later. It's another reason why I'm not the proudest of this piece. I also don't super like how I did his like gold crackly scars. I don't like what I did there. Oh, I'm doing some reflective light because I thought that was gonna help with the stone looking. It didn't. It did not help. It was not a good choice. This was just a series of bad decisions. I feel like I could have done better. I mean, I do end up doing better. Spoilers. If you hear me complaining about this piece so much. Yeah, here's the final piece. Not the best. I feel like I could have done better. Let's just move on. Next up, we have the 1 hour. So for this 1 hour piece, there was a couple weeks break in between the first and the second round, just because I got caught up with stuff. I'm an adult. But I'm kind of grateful for that disconnect a little bit, because once again, I wasn't super happy in the end with the first one. I figured that out. So this time I tried to be better, and I also tried to do a couple of cheeky cheats to make it a bit easier on me, because I couldn't predict how much of a struggle it might be to get this done in time, and I think I overestimated how difficult it would be to draw something in 1 hour, which I think I tried to cut corners, and I don't think it helped me, because I mean the end picture is fine, but I feel like there's moments where I could have spent more time and in the end made something a little bit better. So yeah, one of the things I did is I did cross his arms. So that was just because Ashton has a bunch of rings on their fingers, and I wanted to not draw them. But then the hand that actually has the rings on the fingers, I didn't end up drawing the rings, so I don't know what happened there. I think this piece is fine, but I feel like I could have done better. There was like a weird rigidity to this piece. Like, I like how I improved the face, and I like what I did with like the proportions. I kind of like how I made him like a little more top heavy, like a barbarian, like more arms and everything. Yeah, he just felt a little stiff. I still feel like I should have, after doing all of this, I really feel like I should have warmed up before starting. And I think that's something I'm going to take away from this, is that I need to, the importance of warm-ups in my character art. Oh, with the actual flat colors, what I do is I do the line art all in one layer, or well, sometimes I do it on separate layers, but I set the fill bucket tool to reference other layers. And so I can go onto a layer underneath, and I can do the fill bucket without touching the line art. Because before, in digital art, I don't know if you know, a lot of people would do it classic style, like you would with a marker in elementary school, where you would just fill it in stroke by stroke. Yep, here's me using the polygon tool. Using the polygon tool, I just did back shading, and then look at this. I just did a gradient. Garbage. And look, it's suddenly shaded. I feel like I could have taken more time on that, but I did a little bit extra. Just cause. Yeah, look at that. Okay, I did do a little bit more than I thought. Yeah, so I just made him backlit so I didn't have to think too much about how the shadow goes over the form, but it's still shaded, so it works out. And I do put a little cool effect here that I actually do like from this piece. Oh, here, this with the gold, I'm so happy with what I did here. Look at that. Look at it. It's shiny. It's gold. Oh, that's a big improvement from the last one that I really wanted to note. In the first one, I didn't do anything shiny. It does not look gold. It just looks kind of gooey. But this looks like gold, and I do that for all the subsequent rounds because it's good and it's fast and I can just do it. Mwah, makes me so happy. The final piece, look at him. I could have done a little more, but it's fine. Anyways, we're moving up to 30 minutes, and this is where I start to lose my marbles. All right, so we've got an anxiety resurgence at this point, because I elected to go a little more loosey-goosey with it. I still wanted to keep the arms crossed, but ended up giving him a little bit of movement by making it like, I don't know why his feet ended up moving. I also don't know why I ended up pointing his head up the way that I did. It was a risky move, but it is a gamble that I won. I think I hit the jackpot. I also accidentally ended up going with a thicker brush for the line art, which was also a gamble that I landed on black and doubled my money. Goddamn. It's so weird. This 30-minute piece was like a clusterfuck of good things happening. This is the winner by far. I love this one the most, but it also infuriates me. It totally took my hypothesis, kicked it in the liver, and tossed it out a 3-story window. I got this good energy with the pose. I accidentally made a good choice with the line work and everything. with the style change of making it like a little more cartoony. I have like a weird range with my art. It's both a gift and a curse, because I can draw a bunch of different things, but sometimes consistency is hard, as you will see. But in the end, I got some really good flow with this 30-minute piece, and I'm angry, and I love it, and I hate myself, because this piece kind of proves the point that more time does not mean better product, which means I spent 2 hours on this first little weirdo. For what? For what? But anyways, I begin to spiral from this point on. I managed to have enough time to keep the gold effect in, which is super great. I once again kept with the really speedy shading. I didn't have time to put in the backlight, but I did have enough time to put in some effects into the gem part, which is awesome. God, I'm just looking at this again. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I hate myself, but I also love it. Anyways, this is the energy that I brought in to the 15-minute piece, where now not only am I anxious about finishing in time, I'm now also anxious about following up this handsome son of a gun. So this is where I tried changing the pose again to try and cover up like some of the details by having him face away and be a strong boy, because I thought that was going to be easier. It actually ended up messing me up because Ashton has a detail on his back where the jacket says, "Just don't." And I didn't bother checking. And once again, I forgot the rings. I don't even know what the point of the rings is if I'm just going to forget to draw them every goddamn time. The pose is rigid. Instead of a fist, I kind of did this weird in-between between a thumbs up and a fist, and I don't like it. I don't like that. I think this one's the worst, actually. Yeah, this one's worse. This one's the worst. And yeah, I really should have done some warm-ups, like some figure drawing or something, because this is just, I don't feel like I'm showing my best here. I peaked mid-video, and I will never reach that high again. Yeah, at least I had time to do the gold effect. It looks really cool. I like it. All right. This looks like something I would draw in 2011. Moving on. Frustrated. I did do another round. I squeezed in a 10-minute round where I knocked this out. And it breaks the pattern of like half and half and half and half, but whatever. But I was frustrated. I was trying to figure out what I did right when I did it right, and what I did wrong when I did it wrong. And I figured it must have been the energy. So I got really loose, and initially I was gonna draw him punching, but it was taking too long to figure it out, and I wasn't feeling it. So I just transferred the pose into a run, which this like outstretched sort of run is it's very comfy for me. I've done it many times. I also remember painting the painting the line art for the face where I put in like the gold clipping mask. I remember literally screaming when I realized I did not draw the cracks on the arms, and there's like a little pause that you can see there. Overall, this one is better than the last. Not as good as the 30-minute piece, the renaissance that we lived through, but still better than everybody else, because I didn't think too hard. I'm glad I knocked this one out, because it sort of brought together the whole lesson of the day for me. Breaking it down, the lesson to be learned here of, the initial question, how fast can I draw and still be good? I'm not sure that was answered here. I think I need to repeat this experiment with more structure in order to be conclusive. There was a big gap between the first round and the rest of the recording, which I said I was grateful for, but at the same time, I don't think that was conducive to the experiment. I was pulling a couple extra cheats than I think I would have wanted if, I was like a proctor looking over this challenge, like changing up the poses and like, not paying as close attention to like important details. Like I think I missed earrings at some points. I never drew the rings. I never drew them. I tried to do tricks to try to not draw them, and there were points where I should have drawn them and I didn't. And I think I needed to be more warmed up in like the hands and have more rigidity in the rules. Create a better environment to experiment in, because by the time I got to the 10-minute round, that was warmed up and it turned out good. Whereas if I had done the 10-minute round first without warm up, I probably would have sucked and these results would have been skewed. I do think I can walk away with the lesson that it's obviously okay to think on things during your art. I mean, like, obviously it requires at least some thought, but take your time to render and everything. Yeah, it's obviously fine, but sometimes thinking too much can be a hindrance to the end product, and sometimes you just gotta roll with it. You just gotta feel it out. That's where I ended up excelling, was when I just turned off my brain and just let my hand do the work. Can't say that works every time, obviously, but at least for this specific instance, it worked. And that kind of really brings it back to like my origins in art, like practicing. I have almost 12 years worth of sketchbooks that I chug-a-lugged through, and a lot of them are filled with pages of drawing the same character over and over and over and over again until I feel it out right. And that's how I create new characters even to this day. Like, I have the initial thought, and then I'm like, my hand's not doing it. My hand's something, there's a disconnect here. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go, hand. I'm gonna let you figure it out. Go at it, buddy. So I just keep doing it again and again and again really, really fast until finally I'm like, Eureka! It was the nose all along! I just did the nose wrong. That's what I needed. Anyways, yeah, experiment inconclusive. I could definitely finish something quickly if I'm in a pickle, but how well I do will require further testing. But let me know what you thought, and please let me know if you want to try this yourself. This was super fun. I think it might be cool. I mean, I don't know if I'm just getting ahead of myself, but I feel like this would be something fun to do on a stream. If anybody wants to join me and draw together, I think that would be really fun. I was also talking to my friend about the results I got here before I recorded, and she was telling me that maybe I should try doing the experiment backwards, where instead of going from the longest time spent on the picture to the shortest time spent, instead start fast and gradually add time each round. Check out my social media linked below for the final pictures. Once again, my commissions are open, so if you like what you see, check out my Twitter for information on what I'm offering and my prices, yada yada. This week's Redbubble highlight is a handsome green man. Also very stylistically different, just, adding to the queue here. I promise I made this. Buy them on a shirt or a notebook, or whatever you like. Yeah, that's it. Video over. Bye.